Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today we're looking at questions that the devs, more specifically the FPS and flight teams, answered on what they're working on now and various updates that we saw at CitizenCon. Let's jump in with the FPS dev update and the FPS dev team there. Radar and ping mechanics. They look like they could be quite wall hacky. Are there ways to remain undetected from being scanned? So yeah, we saw this at CitizenCon. At the moment, those scans are very visually strong. You can clearly see a target. Once you ping, you can sort of see them through walls at quite a distance. They wanted to show it off for CitizenCon, which is why it's quite so obvious when you sort of ping for someone and they were just sort of going, look, you can see through walls, you can see things that you've detected in this fashion. So this is going to be balanced and evolve in the future. Everything is a work in progress that they showed off at CitizenCon, but there are going to be charging times for those sort of scans, and you're not going to be able to see through all materials, all thicknesses. There are ranges, there's noise, there's sort of piercing, there's jammer stuff, all to consider. There might be light or stealth armor and gear that has very low emissions or near undetectable by scanners. Obviously, there's going to be upsides and downsides of that. Heavy armor, that might have much greater emissions, but care a little bit less if you get ambushed because you're wearing heavy armor. Your gear choice will also affect all of this. Also, when you scan, you make yourself a lot more detectable, so it can be quite dangerous. So your loadout, emissions management, and environment will all affect how detectable you are, both in FPS and in your ship. What's the plan for more physical IK animations for interacting with ships and panels? So there are a load of new animations and interactions for some UIs, buttons, physical props. As we saw at CitizenCon, they're quite grabby and sort of physicalizing a lot of the sort of interactions that you can do with the environment. We might see more interactions with kiosks as well. They don't want anything excessive though, especially when it's to do with UIs. With UI interaction, they don't obscure the screen. A lot of this stuff is a lot too complex for a game. They don't use grabby hands or anything like that anymore. It's all new systems, but they want it to look like you're sort of engaged with your environment, and anything that is a physical button or an elevator or whatever, they want you to reach out and touch. Is part of the FPS weapon rework also removing the automatic reload when your sort of weapon is out of ammo, or can you cancel that? So they want to increase interactivity. However, some things are a lot of work for a little bit of payoff. Why wouldn't you want to reload when you've sort of run out of ammo? They have an action matrix where they are trying to make the game as fluid as possible, sort of like a contemporary FPS. They're trying to balance fluidity, control, sort of versus the game's needs, right? Will we have Satterball soon? So, people don't know, Satterball is like an Ender's Game style zero-G sport in the Star Citizen universe, where two teams go against each other, they try and stun each other, they're trying to get a ball into the other goal, but you're flying around, grappling each other, stunning each other, getting the ball, chucking it around in a little arena. So, they basically said here, no, we're not going to get it soon. Satterball was supposed to be an early test for zero-G. So that's what they had planned for it, and there were various issues. It got canned. I'm hoping we see it in the future as an experimental mode, but it's not coming anytime soon. They're not sort of actively working on that. Will the looting screen be extended to armor and undersuits at some point? So we saw quick loot screens at CitizenCon. People were very happy about that, so you can run up to a body or whatever and quickly swap gear, grab potentially useful stuff while in combat even. Yes, they're currently working on it for clothing and armor, as well as other FPS weapons, items, gear and stuff that we already saw. For Squadron 42, there are set amounts of items, so it's actually a lot easier for them to do. The Persistent Universe has a huge amount more items and a scope for those items, so they're working it out at the moment for the Persistent Universe. FPS compass. Ships have one. Are we going to see one for our FPS HUD? They actually showed an FPS compass at CitizenCon, and it will be coming into the Persistent Universe. Might be a bit bigger than the one they showed at CitizenCon, though. Night vision. Are there going to be different types of vision, like night vision? So, yeah, they're going to have... They're looking at this sort of stuff. They have new scopes, which is a step in the right direction, and they are able to do night vision and other vision modes, so they might do it as a sort of different tint or shade or whatever for night vision. But yeah, they can do it. They're looking at it. It might be a thing in the future. Are the wide variety of FPS gadgets still in the works? Yes. things like deployable shields, hairwire grenades, lots and lots and lots of random stuff. They're still working on these. More traditional gadgets like laser trip mines, which are sort of already in-game, but will be coming to the player as something you can buy and place. Smoke grenades, flashbangs, all the stuff that you'd get in a standard game, they're going to put in first, and then they're going to have the more crazy sci-fi space things. Will the easy looting system phase out pouches that were also shown at CitizenCon? So you can get pouches and you can sort of put them on your armor and then have extra little pockets and things and items in those. So there are going to be pouches, and they're going to work with looting and inventory. They're going to have both that looting system and pouches. With the slide mechanics, how do you intend to mitigate hitbox abuse? So the worry here is people rapidly sort of crouching and jumping and doing weird things to make them really hard to hit, or them not appear to actually be where they are, so you are shooting at them. It looks like you're hitting them, but you're not, because you're not getting a hit reg. So procedural animations and inertialization are important to them. You're not going to be able to rapidly crouch and slide and all that sort of stuff anyway. You're going to be able to slide, but it's going to be more of a getting to cover sort of thing. They're going to try to make sure there aren't exploits. Exhaustion will make your aim worse. Obviously, crouching and standing and sliding and all that will make you quite tired very quickly. Yeah. Sliding, not really a combat, or at least aggressive combat strategy. It's not Apex Legends or anything. Do you have any more information regarding time to kill? So they've been balancing time to kill and player health and damage modifiers. Obviously, they put up the time to kill a little bit, and they're trying to sort of make it so battles feel a bit more interesting. You can take a little bit more damage. You get one shot less. They are iterating on it, and they're going to be iterating on it from patch to patch. It's currently balanced at around 0.9 seconds to kill with a P4AR against medium armor if you're shooting them with all bullets in the torso. That's a sort of baseline, and then they sort of balance weapons around that. Health is one aspect of time to kill, and they're going to be balancing that and medical gameplay and all the weapons a lot in the future. Let's move on to the ship flight and master modes sort of dev team here. With the new atmospheric flight model stuff, how long is an average ship expected to be able to hover compared to a ship that's got dedicated VTOL? VTOL is going to be a lot more efficient at hovering in atmosphere. Ships will be able to comfortably land in atmosphere without it being frustrating with or without VTOL. So you're going to have enough time to be able to do that. You're not going to constantly be overheating as long as you haven't been flying in atmosphere or damaged or anything for a long period of time. Will we see more co-pilot interactions that will assist the pilot? Is there more things that the co-pilot can do? So the main pilot will always be in control of the movement systems of the ship. You can't give them to another sort of seat. However, co-pilot and other seats will be able to make use of most other systems. They can basically be distributed to other seats. You can go, I'm going to give the functionality to this over here. You can give weapon control to another seat, bam, 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 all that sort of stuff. What is the current backlog of ships needing to be converted to master modes? Pretty much all of them. They're obviously testing some at the moment, but they still need to all be converted over to the new system once they decide what that system is. The sort of Gladius is the main one they're testing, but they are testing a few others as well at the moment. You can jump into master modes in StarSets now for 3.22 in Arena Commander. There's an experimental mode there for that to test and then give feedback on. They are planning to test or bring changes into the game, potentially in multiple stages. So they're planning to do sort of speed tuning first, and then handling changes for archetypes. So they go light fighter, medium fighter, heavy fighter, and all the different sort of sizes of ship. Then individual ships, sort of differences there as well, because they need to make ships unique sort of to a degree. Some ships are going to be a lot more unique, I suppose, than others. How much testing has been done on non-combat ships when it comes to master modes? The basics of master modes and the way that it affects ships is going to be the same. Yes, there's going to be a lot of tuning for individual ships, and that will be ship by ship basis, but the basics of master modes, same for all of them. The larger the ship, the harder it is to balance for master modes at the moment, and the more like it's going to be like naval combat, they've said. They are balancing it for smaller ships at the moment, for the most part. How will master modes affect ships like alien ships that move differently? So the Santok Yai, the Katu Al. These ships will be more unique in the way they move and thrust, but it's more, again, about how they're tuned. Have you thought about how master modes will affect larger ships like the Hammerhead, Polaris, etc.? All ships, big, medium, alien, small, will have the same base set of rules for master modes. At the moment, larger ships are very vulnerable in the game, and they shouldn't be, at least against fighters they shouldn't be. They're sort of going to be in fear of larger ordnance and specialist anti-large ship weapons. So it sounds like CIG are balancing fighters for more sort of anti-fighter, anti-bomber, anti-missile torpedo, general interdiction, sort of harassment roles. They're effective against small and medium ships, or potentially subsystem targeting of larger ships, but they fulfill a role which is not supposed to be, they don't heavily threaten large capital ships or anything like that, beyond taking out some of their assets, which means other assets can then threaten them, if you see what I mean. There's obviously some exceptions to that, and I'm sort of talking more generally in the feel for what they were talking about there. When armor is implemented, is there an intent for armor to prevent damage below a threshold, or just sort of like a general percentage reduction or general mitigation that it gives? So they don't have the armor system done yet. The current direction is that anti-fighter and small weapons won't be much of a threat against larger ships. Exactly how that's all done remains to be seen. We do know that they want a physical damage system and a material system, sort of that's kind of what armor is. Are there plans to improve the turret gunner experience? Yes, they're working on the gunner experience currently. They have the precision targeting mode that we saw at CitizenCon. That's going to be usable on controlled turrets too in the future, so they're sort of tweaking that system to make it work properly. Their new aiming system allows them to be able to very easily change, adapt, and buff stats, so they could give a turret a higher turn or more projectile velocity for balance or whatever. Over time, these systems will get tuned a lot more. What's the difference between armor, physicalized damaged, and the Maelstrom system? So physicalized damaged system is sort of like the umbrella for all the systems. Maelstrom is the breakability tech, how ships will literally be torn apart, how they explode, all that sort of stuff. Armor is the value of materials a ship is built from. Then there are modifiers like piercing and that sort of stuff as well. We should see more on this in Q1, Q2 2024. Will quantum entanglement devices, sort of the dampeners, the snares, block a ship from switching into nav mode? So switching into nav mode, no, but it is going to block the ability for you to get some of your positives from that. So if you are dampened, you're not going to be able to quantum travel. You're not going to be able to, probably not going to be able to go into cruise speed either. So why would you want to be in nav mode if you are being dampened? You probably don't want to be. You probably want access to your weapons and shields, so be in SCM mode. So it's an interesting one with that. I think that obviously quantum entanglement devices are going to be very deadly and sort of dangerous. How are ships without wings or sort of large VTOL engines expected to handle in atmosphere? So they won't be making anything unflyable unless it's like damaged or whatever. They don't want to lock out the Aurora or whatever in atmosphere, even though it's brick. Other ships will just fly a bit better. Wings, flaps, VTOL, and speeds are going to help. They are working out if stalls will happen more often or something like that. They don't know yet. Different atmospheres and gravities will affect ships and the way they fly as well. Quantum boosting has a lot of potential, but also too much shake. Will there be an option to sort of turn this off or reduce this? So what they showed at CitizenCon was an exaggerated demo of sort of shake and everything as part of the quantum boost, and showing off that gameplay where you actually have to keep your ship within that tunnel while you're accelerating. In Squadron 42, they say you're probably better to turn that off, and they're discussing whether or not they want that option in Star Citizen's Persistent Universe as well, because it sort of might affect gameplay there. We'll sort of see what happens in the future. I don't think it's going to affect gameplay too much, the shake, in my opinion. I think that they should be able to turn it off, but I mean, maybe there's stuff that I'm not really getting there. Will there be an option for high level of zoom or precision for artillery ships? They're unsure. There isn't really sniper gameplay for ships in Star Citizen, as there's projectile travel times. I know a lot of people in the comments will be going, what about the Ares Ion? Well, they sort of said that isn't a sniper ship, even though some people feel it should be. It's sort of like an alternative to a bomber, right? It sort of has the same sort of role as anti-large and anti-capital ship, especially in wings, but it sort of does it at a different sort of range, and it's got more stamina, right? They are working on that precision system and some zoom stuff, so they'll see what works and what doesn't. Will ammo storage for ship weapons ever be decoupled from the weapon itself? So you can have ammo stores, which it sort of takes from, and different sized ammo storage for different ships, allowing for different sort of ammo amounts and that sort of stuff for the same weapon on different ships, if you see what I mean. They talked about it internally, allowing for hardpoints or cargo area to have more ammo storage. At the moment, they don't have a proper plan. Long term, it might be a good idea. Heavier fighters might get more ammo than light fighters due to that ammo storage, for example. What's the plan with ship movement in regard to 6 degrees of freedom? So they've lowered speeds for combat. They still have 6 degrees of freedom. They are going to continue to iterate on combat and ship speeds, though. And obviously, some people think it's great, the direction. Some people don't like it so much. Some people want it tuned lots more. But it's going to get tuning and evolve for sure. So what's the vision for large and capital ship combat? The larger the ship, the more like a naval ship it's going to act like. So larger cannons, torpedoes being fired at each other at longer ranges. You're trying to get the shortest sort of time to critically damage or disable an enemy ship. You'll be potentially turning your capital ship so that you're taking damage across all of its hull sort of in an even manner, so that you don't get like critically damaged on one side or whatever, or you don't show off your very juicy, valuable components within that can just be destroyed easily if you take a load of hull damage on one side. It's going to be very different from dogfighting. Going a little smaller to like Corvette-sized ships is going to depend on its role in how it operates. So some are going to act like brawlers, some are long range, some are hit and run. The larger the ship, the more it turns into naval-style gameplay. Obviously, all of this stuff is subject to change, and Cloud Imperium will be evolving the systems, and people's feedback are going to heavily sort of influence them as well. Lots of tuning, lots of balance, lots of updates to come over 2024 as they bring all of these Squadron 42 and CitizenCon sort of features into the game. I want to give a quick shout out. Happy birthday to Lagrange Point. The partner asked me to say hi, and I'd also like to say congratulations on your baby. Perfect time to have a child so they can grow up to play Star Citizen once it's finally released. Boom! That's it for your updates today, looking at FPS and flight teams and what the devs have been doing there. I am really interested to know, are you excited for what you heard there? Are you looking forward to all of those features or some of those features coming into the game in 2024? I hope you had a great 2023. This video is the last chance you have to get in for the December giveaway, and because I'll probably be drawing that tomorrow in 2024. Tomorrow is the future. Anyway, please, if you've got any questions or thoughts, I would love to hear from you in the comments below.
Ho, 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 it's me, Father Nordmus. That's right, it's that time again to see who is on my naughty list for who doesn't have a VPN.
No, that's Northern Claus!
Grass from Northern Claus, Timmy. You should be scared of not having a VPN. As you know, Father Nordmus punishes all that disobey him. It's the perfect Nordmus present, Timmy. There's no excuse. I can see all of your website history, and I'm going to sell all of your data, Tim.
NordVPN helps protect your online activity, gives you greater accessibility to the content you want by changing your location, and much, much more. Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer before Das Northern Claus finds you. Every month we have a Star Citizen ship giveaway. For December, we are giving away a Drake Corsair. It's the winner of the 2953 Ship Showdown and one of the stars of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. This fantastic multi-role, multi-crew, long-range mission runner can do a bit of everything in-game, and it has a penchant for exploration. Just comment on any of my videos during December to be in for a chance of winning that. There are further details in the description below. A big thank you to everyone that goes the extra mile in supporting the channel via Patreon or the join button under my videos and becoming a channel member. It will net you some exclusive content from Zin and I, but also it really does help us to be able to create daily Star Citizen content, as does sharing these videos and commenting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the verse.